Okay, so on Thursday, guys, we worked on lessons 1.8, 1.9. This is a continuation on 1.9. So we dealt with we dealt with addition and subtraction of our rational numbers or our fractions. And today we're dealing with multiplication and division, okay? So I actually think this is a little bit easier than than addition and subtraction of rational numbers because there's a lot less we need to do. So step one is to change any rational numbers with a negative number over a negative number to a positive number. And that just means if it says -4 over -2, well, if we divided those two numbers, it would just end up being +2. Or if we had -3 over -2, well, actually, it would just be a positive because these two signs right here cancel each other out, or a negative multiplied by a negative is going to equal that positive number. Place any negative signs with the numerator, so that top number, and then reduce the question to lowest terms first. So if you can reduce it to lowest terms first instead of doing it at the end for multiplication and division, that works as well. And then simply enough, 4 and 5 is we're just going to multiply the top numbers, and then we'll multiply the bottom numbers. Okay. So what this all looks like, guys, we're gonna find out now. But this is how we're going to roll with multiplication and division of rational numbers, okay? So in the first one, we have -1 over 2 and -3 over 5. Well, we can't reduce any of those, and the negative number is on the numerator or the top number, so we're just going to do -1 times -3 and 2 times 5. So -1 times -3 is +3, and 2 times 5 is 10. So 3 over 10 would be our answer. Make sure you're writing this down in your notes. If we look at our next example, we have 4 over -5. So we're going to switch that to -4 over 5. Remember, we always bring this up to the top number. And then we have 3 over 8. So neither of those we can reduce right away, but we then would have, we can kind of skip this step and we'd get -4 times 3 and 5 times 8. So -4 times 3 is -12. And 5 times 8 being 40. And we can actually reduce this by dividing both by 4, giving us 3 over 10, or -3 over 10. Again, guys, make sure you're getting this down in your book. All right, so for our next one, we have -5 over 6. So if we rewrite that, times 6. Well, anytime we have a whole number, guys, it's always over 1, okay? So it would be over 1. So in this case, we'd have -5 times 6 and 6 times 1. So it would be -30 over 6. And if we just divided -30 by 6 on our calculator, we would get the answer of -5. All right. Let's just give you a second to write that down. And then we're going to get into division. Let's give you another 20 seconds. Okay, now we're getting into division. So the only difference you're going to see right here is in number 2. Okay, and number 2 is where things change. We do something called using a reciprocal. Okay, so instead of dividing, we actually are going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign and the second rational number to its reciprocal, meaning that we flip the second rational number. So flipping it means that this would then become this. We just flip those numbers around. And then our job is to multiply the numerators or the top and then multiply the denominators or the bottom. So in this case here, we'd have 3 over 4 divided by 1 over negative 8. But since it's division, we're going to flip that. So it's going to become negative 8 over 1 because we flip that number. So then it should be 3 times negative 8 and 4 times 1. So 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And 4 times 1 being 4. And remember, division, fractions are just another way of showing division. So negative 24 divided by 4 is actually equal to negative 6. Okay. For our next one, remember that if we have 2 negative numbers, it becomes a positive. So negative 3 over negative 8 would become 3 over 8. And remember that our whole numbers are always over 1. Now, the problem with this is that it's division. So it would be divided by negative 6 over 1. Now, in this case, when we rewrite it, we need to flip these two numbers because it's division, and it becomes multiplication. So 1 would become on top, and we always keep that negative on top, and 6 would be on the bottom. So then it would be 3 times negative 1 and 8 times 6. This giving us negative 3 over 48. And we can actually reduce this by dividing both the tops and the bottom by 3, giving us negative 1 over 16. Okay, make sure you get that down. Last example here. Okay, so if we look at our next question, remember that we have 2 negatives there, so we'd rewrite that to be 4 over 25, okay? And then we have negative 16 over 15, so negative 16 on top over 15. But since it's division, we need to flip these, giving us 4 over 25 multiplied by 15 over 16. And remember, we always keep that negative on top. All right, so if we then do 4 times negative sorry, that's 4 times negative 15 and 25 times 16, we would get negative 60 over 400. And we can actually, this one's a little tougher, but we can divide both of these by 20, giving us negative 60 divided by 20 is negative 3, and 400 divided by 20 is 20. So our final answer would be negative 3 over 20.